So many people have asked for fall scenes or more practice with trees, so here is the perfect painting. I'm gonna take light blue and white across the top and even some darker teal across the horizon. This just makes it look a little bit more like a fade. And then I'm taking some tan on my brush, not even washing it, and doing the bottom. Now you have to trust the process with this painting. I'm taking my sea sponge and some red, and I'm bouncing it in a couple places in the sky. All right, these are going to be leaves. And you know how leaves in the fall, when they change, they have different clumps of color. So I'm going to kind of have like clumps of orange, clumps of red. You kind of want to organize them a little bit. You don't want to have all the colors everywhere all at once, but so you have a little clump of yellow there and on the other side. And even in the fall, there are still some green leaves. So I take some light and dark green and put just a couple little touches in there. And then you want to make sure you dry it for this next step because we're going to add the trees. So we're going to have a little bit of perspective. That center point is where we're heading. So the tree in the very front, closest to you, is going to be on the outside edge. And that's going to be the biggest one. It's going to be a little bit thicker and it's going to go all the way up. The next one, a little closer to that center point, is just a little bit thinner. And you see, as we're getting closer to that blue section, notice I left a little bit of it clean without leaves. That one's gonna go up a little bit further, and the one furthest towards the center is the tiniest. So you can already see that tunnel effect. So on the other side opposite, big tree on the far right, and getting smaller lines as we get towards the center. Now you don't wanna forget any branches either, so make sure they have those V's. And they are close together, so you don't want to do too much detail. They can be hugging each other, touching each other a little bit, but do a couple reaching up into those leaves because that's what's holding them on. You don't want just floating leaves. And now, oopsie, we can see that now we're gonna have some tan. Our trees look a little flat, so I'm going to add a little bit of highlights just to the bases and maybe towards the bottoms of the branches there. If it gets too bright, you can blend it in with some more dark brown, but that makes it look a little bit three-dimensional. And then, so it doesn't look like you just glued some trees over top of your leaves, make sure it looks like they're inside the leaves. I'm gonna take my sponge again and bounce in a couple leaves over top of them. You don't wanna lose your trees, but you just wanna have a little bit. I do a couple pops of yellow at the very end because that just makes it look like it's highlighted. There we go. Now they look like they're inside the forest. Now with a clean sponge, I'm going to take some dark brown because these are the dead leaves at the bottom of the trees. This is a great way to fix up the bottoms because they always look a little funny, so we're kind of planting them at the same time. Go along the edge of each side of your walkway. I'm also going to take a little bit of nutmeg and bounce in the same thing. There we go. And a lot of people sometimes get stuff in the walkway that they didn't really want there. So I'm going to take some tan and some white and a smaller round brush, and I'm just going to go back and forth and clean it up. If a little bit of the brown that hasn't dried gets in there too, that kind of looks like shading as well. So this gives you a chance to fix up anything you don't like and get some really good perspective in there. Super easy fall painting. This is a great one to practice trees. And there, I'm taking the tape off. It's always the most fun part. There you go.